hold hands and close your eyes. It's midnight, and you're listening to the Ghost Story Guys.
Hello, this is LukeLore, a companion piece to the Ghost Story Guys podcast, where I share some of the folklore surrounding the stories the main episodes tell. Today, I'll be taking a look at Wendigo folklore as a companion piece to episode 4, Call of the Wendigo. What exactly a Wendigo can be is a little vague because there is a lot of Native American folklore covering them. This will likely have a second LukeLore episode at some point as I dig deeper into this topic. The Wendigo, Windigo, or Windito is either a spirit of the lonely places, or else it is a curse a person can receive from resorting to cannibalism, or both, or sometimes something even a little weirder. As I mentioned on bonus episode 7, A Guide to Recognising Your Ghost Story Guys, the stories of the Wendigo from the Ojibwe take the form of a bogeyman to scare children into good behaviour. I would love to collect some directly, as I'm only really aware of them by reputation, but these seem similar to European ogre fairy tales. This aspect of folklore, the practical lessons passed on to children in story form, utterly fascinating to me. The Minnesota area Wendigo could be flat, pretty much a 2D projection onto the physical world, and therefore not visible except from certain angles. They can also have a blue star on either the head or body, which is pretty unusual detail that I would not be surprised tied back around to the spiritual side of Wendigo tales. Around Berens Lake, near Ontario, the Wendigo is an amphibious monster like an alligator with burst feet or cloven hooves, which seems to be the most divergent depiction of what a Wendigo can be, although I'd love to be proven wrong there and find some even stranger local variations sometime. It was the Algonquin Indians who told the stories of the cannibalistic spirits which have gone on to be how pop culture views the Wendigo. The idea that eating human flesh will curse someone to become a ravenous monster is what most people will think when you mention Wendigo now. Although sometimes that feels like it can lose what makes this folklore special, and the Wendigo has just been diluted down to flesh-eating ghoul, but in the cold. It looks like Algernon Blackwood was a big early impact with The Wendigo in 1910, published as part of The Lost Valley and Other Stories, but one of the biggest pop culture influences over the years from The Wendigo has been in Marvel Comics. During the 70s, a writer for The Incredible Hulk liked the stories of the Wendigo and thought they were pretty tragic, which would make for an interesting antagonist of the early, more horror-influenced Hulk. Appearances continued through various comic lines up to as recently as 2015. Marvel depicts the Wendigo as a curse which transforms people into a hairy white Bigfoot/werewolf mashup. While the long-running TV show Supernatural also uses the Algonquin version of the folklore, the real breakout popularity of the Wendigo is most likely from the video game Until Dawn. Both people playing the sleeper hit and from a lot of people watching YouTubers play it. Wendigo stories have been everywhere in recent years on the back of Until Dawn's success, although the video game depiction does lean towards the generic flesh-eating ghoul, but in the cold, and that seems to be skewing a lot of these stories in that direction now. Recent made-up, allegedly true stories are pretty easy to spot as they follow Until Dawn's take on a Wendigo. Tall, gaunt, loudly snarling, and with vision based on movement like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park. But even T-Rexes probably didn't have vision based on movement. No apex predator blunders from tree to tree in a blind rage. So if you hear a true story on YouTube with this detail, someone is definitely telling porkies. Until Dawn has a more recent virtual reality prequel which, full disclosure, I worked on as a quality assurance tester. The prequel did not find the market like the original release did, and as critically underwhelming as it ultimately ended up, it did attempt to depict the more spiritual side of the Wendigo folklore in the first act of the game, something the original was lacking. At the very least, watching a playthrough of the first part of The Inpatient could prove interesting if you're curious to see how that plays out, and there should be plenty on YouTube to pick from. One last bit of fun Wendigo trivia I blundered into a while back. According to ancient-origins.net, the plural of Wendigo is Wendigoag. If anyone has any Wendigo folklore to share, I would love to hear from you. This is a massive and fascinating area of mythology that I only have a surface-level understanding of, and I will always want to learn more. That's all for LukeLore this time. I'll be back in a month with another topic. Followers on Patreon get this early, so check out patreon.com/ghoststoryguys for that and plenty more cool stuff if you want to support us directly. But just listening is plenty of support in and of itself. I hope you enjoy my companion show and feel free to reach out to either the show or myself directly via email or social media if you have any questions, feedback, or requests for LukeLore. The show email is ghoststoryguys@gmail.com and I am Luke Greensmith on both Twitter and Facebook. We also have a very active Instagram account full of fun things we've found around the internet and even occasionally news and peeks behind the scenes. Goodbye for now.